Hi friends, welcome back to Arc Tutorials. This is Next.js complete tutorial series for absolute beginners as well as expert developers joining us from previous versions of Next.js. As part of Next.js 15, version 15, we have a lot of new things, the way we organize the page, the routing, etc. I've covered that in the earlier episodes, so make sure that you have gone through it if you are new here. Today, we are going to learn about the dynamic routes. Especially when we don't know the path, you can call it the dynamic values that are coming in the URL. That's what we will learn about dynamic routes today. Let's get started. This is part 7 of the series. Please continue to support me and my channel by liking, commenting and sharing these videos. If you like my work, please do consider buying me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/arctutorials. If you need any job training or tech support, write to me at surya.aradhya@gmail.com. Alright, so we are in episode number 7. Today we are learning about dynamic routes. So what are dynamic routes? Dynamic routes are nothing but whenever we don't know the exact path that is coming for our application. That's what we call it, dynamic routes, or also called slugs. So how do we create them? We'll create the same way of how we create the folder, right? We know that it's a file based routing system in Next.js. So we will follow the same structure. The difference will be that we will now define using square brackets. That means it will know that it's a dynamic route. Okay, it will be more clear when we start our hands on. Let's get started. Alright, so we are going to say I'll open this project. We are building ArcPay, which is a payment thing that we are doing. So under payments, we want to see what all payments we have done in last history, basically payment history. So I'm going to create a new thing and I'm going to say history, and inside this we are going to create a new file and square brackets, you can call it slug.tsx. Okay, now what this means is that this is a file under when I go to the, now let me open my route notes and show you. Alright, episode 7, we are learning about dynamic routes. Okay, so now what we'll do is first we created a folder because it's file based routing, right? So we created a folder with the path, say history, and now the URL will look like /payments/history, and then will be a number. Okay, number is nothing but you can say transaction ID or order ID or payment confirmation, which can have a alphanumeric values like this or something like you. For now let's keep it simple and say when I go to payments and go to history and say /10, I should see the details of the payments that I made with ID number 10. Okay, that's what we are trying to do. The next thing I did is under that particular folder history, I created a slug using square brackets. Now what I'm saying is that this value will be dynamic. Inside whatever comes inside square brackets will be dynamic. Okay, now simplest way is, okay, I think what we can do is we'll need one more in this. So okay, let me do one thing. Let me rearrange this little bit so that way it will be much easy. So we got the payments first, and then what I'll do is I will create one more folder at payments level and I'll call it slug. And since we need a page, so this would make much more sense for us. So I'm deleting this history, we don't need that. We'll follow a different approach. Okay, so instead of history, so now we'll keep it simple like this path. Okay, same approach, just difference is that now instead of payment/history, I'm just making payment/10. Okay, much simpler, much easier way to understand. So whenever now we will type payments/10, it comes here, it will go inside this page. And now here what do we do? Export default function, and let's say any name that you want to give. Let's say payment detail. Okay, Now inside this we have to implement little different than what we were doing earlier. Okay, inside this function bracket we'll open curly brace closed, and then what we will do, we will pass params. Okay, so that way we are telling it that this is the, we are the passing a param basically, right? Because we need that param to be captured. And then we are saying it is of type, correct? What type it is, because if you don't tell the type, then it will not work. So again open curly brace closed, then you will write params again, and here you will write a promise. What it means is that you are trying to resolve and say that you will be returning that value. Okay, and you will write string and close it. So now you are telling that there is this params that we are going to get dynamically, it's a promise of type slug, which is a data type string. Okay, so now this is good. So now all we need to do is capture that value and display it. So how do we display that? You can just type const and capture that value, let's say slug equal to, and now what you'll do, you'll do await. Okay, because we need to wait for the value, await params, and then you can do just dot slug, and then you can do a return. Let's put a div and say dynamic value is, you can put slug. Okay, okay, now why is it giving error? Let's check. Await expressions are allowed only in async function. Okay, so we need to make our function async function. So this should resolve it. Okay, perfect. So once again, I'll just repeat the code for you. Here we are saying that this function will accept a parameter which is by the name params. That params, when you put this colon with this, you are just telling what type it is. So we are saying params is of type promise, which is inferring slug, which is nothing but a string. Okay, and in the method all we are doing is capturing that from the params we are taking the slug, which is the what we have defined here, and returning that value. Simple as that. Now let's run it. Npm run dev. Okay, so our localhost 3000 is running. Let's go localhost 3000. Perfect. Now let's go to payments. Payments page is displayed. Now I'll pass 10. It is showing 10. If I pass 20, it will show 20. If I pass any alphanumeric value, which is what will be an invoice or a transaction ID, so it is, we are able to capture that, right? So the path is dynamic, and this value, whatever value we pass, will be captured as part of this because it's a dynamic route that we created. Take a look again under payments, whatever path you want to build, right? Let's say you want to build, say, history slash 10. So what you will do, you will create one more folder inside payments as history, and then you will write slug, then you will write the page. Always page is required to, that's when it will know that it's a route to be displayed. Okay, always remember that. That's the new concept in Next.js version 15. Earlier you used to have a folder called pages and then where we will put everything. Now that is not the case anymore. Okay, so I hope this concept is clear. You will be able to build dynamic routes because as we progress in our application, we will be building quite a lot of routes which are dynamic. One of the example I just showed you, this is when we will see the payment history or payment details. We will be able to get that unique ID. Okay. All right. Thank you so much for joining in this episode. I hope you're having fun. I hope you're learning. I hope you're enjoying. Please do like, share, subscribe to my channel. If you like my work and tutorials, hit that like button, and also consider buying me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/arctutorials. Thank you so much for joining. See you in the next episode.